If you own at least 500 XRP, buckle up, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you why those gains in your wallet might be on the verge of a massive transformation. Something big, it is happening behind the scenes with XRP, and if you've been holding even a modest stack, something like 500, this actually could be the wake-up call that you need to pay attention to. So picture this, I'm sipping on my morning orange juice, just scrolling through crypto news, and I see a headline that practically jumps out of the screen. It says something along the lines of XRP ETFs are vacuuming up millions of tokens. Now, my heart, it skips a beat. As a long time XRP holder myself, I've been thinking, wait, is this really happening? We finally get XRP spot ETFs, and now they are gobbling up XRP like it's the last slice of pizza at the party. Now, I'm not talking a small bite here and there, no. I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars worth of XRP that is disappearing from exchanges in a matter of days. So here is the scoop. Within 11 trading days of launching, the 4 brand new XRP ETFs have pulled in roughly $666 million worth of XRP. Just to put that into perspective, Solana had 6 ETFs go live around the same time, and over 23 days, those Solana funds have attracted about $618 million. So XRP did more with fewer ETFs in half of the amount of time. Now, I mean, wow. It's kind of like the demand for XRP from these Wall Street vehicles is in overdrive. Now, if XRP were a pie, those ETFs have eaten a huge chunk of it in less than 2 weeks. Now, here is where things get really interesting and a little bit scary too, but in a good way for us XRP holders. Now, some analysts are already saying that these ETFs could literally drain the XRP available on the exchanges. So just think about that for a second. If regular people like you and I want to buy or sell some XRP, we typically go to the exchanges, right? But what is happening if or at least what does happen if the exchanges, they start running out of XRP to sell because of these big ETF players that keep buying it all up? Now, it's not just a theory. People are crunching the numbers. Now, one influencer in the space, Brad Kims, actually went out and asked an AI model. They called this one Grok, by the way, and they asked it to analyze this situation. Now, the AI, it pulled up some data and it blew my mind. It said that as of late November 2025, all the major exchanges combined, think Binance, Upbit, Bithumb, OKX, Coinbase, the big boys, right? They have only around 5 to 6 billion XRP left in their reserves. Now, you and I can actually trade. That's the reserves that you and I can get hold of right now. That is it. And to us, 5 billion, it sounds like an awful lot, doesn't it? But in the grand scheme of XRP, that is only about 10% of the total circulating supply. Just 10%. Even crazier is the AI noted that Binance alone held about 2.71 billion XRP on its own platform. But that number has been dropping fast. Since October, Binance's stash has shrank by 300 million tokens. Then, after these ETFs launched in mid-November, Binance lost another 100 million from its reserves. There was a single day where 73 million XRP had vanished from exchanges into presumably cold storage or ETF custody. It's kind of like watching the fuel gauge in your car head towards empty, and each day a little bit more XRP is gone from the open market. So, naturally, Brad asked the AI, okay, if they keep buying at this pace, how long until the tank basically runs dry? Now, the AI looked at the ETF buying over the last few days, November 25th to November 27th to be exact, and it found out that on average, about $26 million worth of XRP was being snapped up each day. At roughly $2.20 per token, or per XRP, that's roughly 11.8 million XRP gobbled up daily. Doing the math, Grok estimated that it would only take about 422 days to soak up the 5 billion XRP at that rate. And if they consider the higher end, 6 billion XRP, maybe around 506 days. So, in plain English here, if nothing changes, we could be looking at roughly 14 to 17 months from now for these ETFs to potentially drain the entire exchange supply of XRP. 14 to 17 months. That's like, what, spring of 2027 at the latest. Now, it's not a far cry at all, right? Now, I'd always thought that supply shock stories were kind of just exaggerated. Coinbase, for example, that had 917 million XRP down to just 16 million, right? But here we actually have a legit model that's mapping it all out with actual data and, well, a ticking countdown. All right, now let's talk about the price, because I know that's what everyone is secretly or not so secretly thinking about, right? So if exchanges really start running on fumes for XRP, what happens to the price? Well, common sense would say that if there is less XRP available but people still want it, the price goes up. But by how much? And here is where it gets very wild and speculative. Another AI, Google Gemini, also weighed in on this one and basically said, look, when crypto gets scarce like this, prices usually don't just climb steadily. They explode upwards exponentially. Why? Because buyers get desperate. They have to keep bidding higher and higher to tempt those last holders to sell. They even referenced a Bank of America analysis from 2021, which found out that during Bitcoin's tight supply moments, every $1 that went into Bitcoin, it added about $118 to Bitcoin's market cap value. Just imagine that multiplier effect. Now, XRP, it isn't a Bitcoin, of course, but we have seen multiplier effects that are pretty crazy. But it does give you a bit of a sense of small amounts of money going in can actually move the needle an awful lot when supply is super limited. So, Google Gemini, it stretched out a few different price zones for, XRP in the ETF, at least if those ETFs really do continue to suck up these billions of tokens, and we get that classic crypto supply crunch. Now, first stop, it said it would be around $8 to $13, kind of an initial surge driven by strong momentum and a flurry of excitement. If that hits then, there's going to be people who might take some profits and things could momentarily cool off just a bit. But then, if the squeeze continues and big investors start thinking, maybe XRP should be valued more like Ethereum, and if Ethereum shoots towards the $1 trillion market cap, then we could see a second surge to about $20 to $25 per XRP. Now, at that point, XRP would be really eyeing up for the top spots within the crypto market cap rankings. And then there is the crazy scenario, the kind of thing that makes you question reality. Now, in the most bullish take, the AI basically said that if the ETF issuers are forced to buy at any price because nobody is selling, a full-blown liquidity vacuum, if you will, XRP could actually break above $50. Yes, $50 per coin. Now, I'm getting a few goosebumps here just saying that out loud because it's the stuff of dreams, at least for those of us holding XRP, when it was under $1 for so long. Now, I'm not saying that this is guaranteed to happen or that it will happen overnight or even in a straight line. It almost never does that. But the possibility is out there, and it is being seriously discussed. And that alone is enough to make me reevaluate my exit strategies. Let's go ahead and put a bit of a timeline to all of this madness then, because the projections from Google Gemini even outlined how this price climb might play out month by month. Now, they suggested something like the first 6 months of this run, which could be roughly be now through to mid-2026, it could be an accumulation phase where XRP's price actually gradually just grinds up from around $2.20 to maybe around the $5 level. That's a solid gain, but it's nothing too crazy just yet. Kind of like the period where smart money quietly keeps on buying, then month 7 to 12 could actually realize, or at least be the realization phase where more people catch on and FOMO kicks in, potentially pushing XRP's price up towards that $15 area. Now, this is where the media probably starts freaking out with the headlines. Everyone and their grandmother probably hears about XRP and how it is doing something insane, and we might see new retail money jumping in. Finally, the grand finale, if you will, month 13 to month 17. A possible mania phase. This is where, the theory holds, that the scarcity is so intense that price movements get violent. We could see those sharp, sudden spikes shooting into the $20 to $30 ranges, possibly even flirting with $50 plus, at least in those most extreme moments. I mean, think back to 2017 or 2021 crypto's mania, right? When coins were going 5x or 10x in weeks. But imagine that on steroids, because now the supply is literally drying up at the same time. If both exciting, it is both exciting and of course a little bit terrifying if we are being honest about it. So what does all of this mean then for you and me in plain terms? Well, let's gonna get personal with the numbers here. Let's say you have 500 XRP stashed away. At today's prices, around $2.20, that's about, $1,100 worth of XRP. Now, fast forward just 17 months in our hypothetically bullish scenario. If XRP even reaches the middle range of these predictions, let's say $20, your 500 XRP would suddenly become worth around $10,000. That's an 8,900% gain on something that was basically a modest investment. And if, dare we dream, XRP hits $50 someday in that mania phase, well, your 500 XRP would be worth $25,000. Now, I don't care who you are here. A jump from $1,000 to $25,000 is pretty life-changing money for most normal, regular people. Now, let's scale this up just a bit. Now, a lot of you out there that actually have bigger bags than 500. There are some data showing that around 596,000 wallets actually hold between 1,000 and 5,000 XRP. Now that's one of the largest groups of XRP holders that are out there, which is pretty huge. So if you're in that particular club, like you hold, let's say, 1,000 XRP at $2.20, that's roughly $2,200 of value today. Now, if XRP reaches $50, that would turn into $50,000. That's almost a year's salary for many people across the United States from just 1,000 coins. Even at $20, that 1,000 XRP investment, it actually becomes 20 grand. Now, for those on the higher end of things here, with 5,000 XRP worth around $11,000 today, well, a $20 price tag would put you at around $100,000 for your investment. And a $50 price tag, well, hold on to your hat for that one, because that would be worth $250,000. Now, we are talking about $250,000 from what is around an $11,000 stake today. That's, at least it's the kind of math that makes you do a double check on your own calculator, right? Okay, so this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Now, I had to say that because, well, it's true. Nothing is guaranteed in crypto. Now, we could get regulatory curveballs, whales doing whale things, or the whole market might not play out as we all expected. So, while it is awesome to consider how fat our wallets could get, we also need to stay level-headed and plan for different kind of outcomes. Now, the smart play here, at least from my own perspective, is to prepare, but not get too carried away by all of the hype. Now, speaking of being prepared, I've been doing more than just daydreaming about moonshots in prices. I'm actually a big believer in diversifying how I engage with crypto. For example, some of you might have heard me mention Unity nodes in previous videos. Now, it's this new project by World Mobile and Minutes Network that has got me pretty intrigued. Basically, they've created a system where people like you and me, we can help to actually provide mobile network verification coverage. So think, cell phone networks, right? In a rather decentralized way. And in return, we earn crypto rewards for it. Now, I went ahead and I bought one of these Unity master licenses. It was actually sold as an NFT, but it's more like a software license, which gives me the ability to connect up to 200 different devices like smartphones or tablets to their network. Now, I'm starting off small here. I'm hooking up 10 phones to run as a bit of a test. And if it all works out smoothly and maybe earns the income that their website suggests, then I'm going to scale things up to more of those licenses. Now, the cool part here is that I can choose to receive my rewards from the Unity nodes in various different cryptocurrencies. And you bet the XRP is on that list, among others like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano Zeta. Now, I figured, why not have another stream that's passively stacking up some extra XRP and some other coins as well? Now, for me, over time, this is going to be quite interesting, right? It's kind of like staking, but instead of locking up coins, I'm actually contributing to a network and I'm getting paid for it. And those rewards are paid from the telecom companies, right? It's not some kind of new token or some kind of crypto tokenomics kind of inflation scam, right? No, there actually is a real working Web2 business that are basically just being decentralized. And so it's really interesting. This is almost a way of thinking of it like a kind of bear market proof way of stacking crypto. Now, of course, Unity is still a brand new thing, so I'm not here to hype it up as some kind of guaranteed win. No, it's like anything in crypto. You've got to do your own research on it, but I do love the concept of it. And I'll drop in the link to their light paper and the rewards calculator in the description down below if you are curious enough to check it out for yourselves. It's something that I'm testing out. If you're a bit techie or maybe adventurous with crypto, it might interest you guys too. Just remember, it's not the main focus for today, and I only bring it up to show you how I'm looking at creative ways to grow my crypto stack on the side while waiting to see what XRP does next. On the more immediate front though, let's talk about getting your crypto strategy set up at least for when things do really heat up. Now, one piece of advice that I've always kind of stuck with is to have multiple exchange accounts ready to go. So when the market gets a bit nuts, right, exchanges, they can get overwhelmed or even temporarily go down, right? Now, the last thing you want to do is to be stuck because you only had one exchange option and it's completely swamped or frozen up. So I keep a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C when it comes to those exchanges where I trade or cash out if needed. So one of my kind of go-to exchanges is Kraken, and I'm actually excited to share that I've partnered up with Kraken to hook you guys up with a little bonus. Now, it's a limited time offer to help you guys stack a little bit more XRP. And also, let's be real, encourage you guys to get on another exchange or get another exchange set up in advance, which in my opinion is just smart to do. So here is the deal. If you sign up for Kraken through my affiliate link that's in the description down below and on my website, the link is in the description by the way, and trade at least $100 worth of any cryptocurrency, excluding stablecoins, within 30 days of opening your account, well, Kraken will give you $25 in XRP as a reward. Yes, that is free XRP for just doing what you would have probably done anyway during a bull market, trade some crypto. It's basically Kraken saying, welcome aboard. Here's some XRP on us. Now, here's a couple of things. First, this is an affiliate link, which basically means that it does support the channel here and it doesn't cost you anything extra. But I do want to say a big thank you if you do go ahead and do that. Now, the second thing is the terms and conditions. They definitely do apply here, which means you're going to have to check out the full details that are linked down below to make sure you're familiar with all the different jurisdictions, because unfortunately, not every single jurisdiction around the world is going to be eligible for this particular promotion. So again, that is linked in the description below so you know exactly how all of this works and all the regional restrictions, etc. But the point is this: new accounts, trade $100 of any crypto that's not a stablecoin within 30 days, you'll get $25 worth of XRP. Sounds pretty simple. I think it's a pretty sweet deal because not only do you potentially get some extra XRP, but you also end up with another exchange account in your arsenal. And trust me here, when things get crazy, having flexibility is worth its weight in gold, or should I say, worth its weight in crypto. Now, for you those people who are curious, I have put a link in the description down below to my website where I list all of the exchanges that I do personally trust and use. And yes, on the website, there are also affiliate links. So a big thank you if you do head over there to sign up to any of those exchanges. I really do appreciate it. And while we're on the topic of being ready and informed, I do want to invite you all to join our community if you haven't done so already. We have a free educational Discord, the link's also in the description, where a whole bunch of us people hang out, talk crypto strategies, share research, and help each other navigate this wild market. It's a zero drama area, right? We just get rid of people who are just causing us hassle and causing the entire community problems. But other than that, it's a great place. There's nearly 8,000 people in there. So it's a great all-learning zone, if you will. Anyway, whether you're a newbie with 50 XRP or a seasoned veteran with 50,000, You are welcome. It's one of the best ways to stay sharp and avoid making rash decisions, just by bouncing ideas off of other people and hearing different perspectives. Ultimately, this whole ETF-driven XRP supply crunch is probably one of the most compelling stories that is unfolding in crypto right now. The idea that in a little over a year, the dynamics of buying and selling XRP could be fundamentally changed. Right? And that is a pretty big deal. Now, if you hold 500 XRP or 5,000 XRP or even more, it is time to start thinking about what your game plan is. Are you going to just hold on and ride the wave? Are you going to be taking profits at certain milestones? Maybe even accumulate more while the prices are still reasonable? Now, these are questions that we all need to ask ourselves now, not when XRP is rocketing and emotions are high. For me, I'm feeling cautiously optimistic here, right? I haven't felt this kind of buzz around XRP in a rather long time. But I'm also reminding myself of all of the times that hype didn't materialize as quickly as we all expected. So I'm staying grounded too, excited but grounded. Now I want to share this story today as a kind of wake-up call to people, because if the scenario does play out, then I don't want any of us saying, if only I had known or had paid more attention. Well, now you know, and you're paying attention. So you're ready ahead of most of other people in the space. Whatever you decide to do with your XRP, just make sure that it's a decision that you can live with based on knowledge and not just FOMO. If you found this eye-opening, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot more to uncover in the crypto world, and I don't want you guys missing out on anything. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you all in the next one.